What's up guys, welcome to a Rasial the first Necromancer guide. This is going to be a beginner's guide and it is likely not going to be the most optimal way to kill the boss in the entire game, but it is designed to get you guys through your first kills and practicing the boss efficiently enough where you're getting around about 2-minute kill times without getting completely slaughtered, and so you can get yourself working towards that drop. Now I'm going to tell you quickly the requirements for this, of course, is the quest to actually be able to kill him, which requires 95 necromancy, and so in this video we will be using the tier 90 gear and like weapons and armor as well, seeing as you can obviously get that made before doing the quest. Other items that are incredibly important is the Salve Amulet E, having the Undead Slayer perk on your armor, and if you have it, the Undead Slayer basic ability is insanely good as well. Unfortunately, I can't find an Undead Slayer ability price for you guys as it was last price checked in June, but I would assume it's probably gone up a little bit at least during Necromancy, as it's very useful here. Okay, with that being said, that's pretty much the gear. On screen is going to be my inventory setup, so you can just copy that if you would like to, and the other raw equipment are there as well. I'm using a Calgarian Demon for the extra crit chance buff, which is definitely helpful, and I'm also using a Grimoire as well. Okay, so with the intro and the gear covered, let's get started. Okay, so for a very quick TLDR, if you guys kind of have tried the boss but you're just looking for a bit of extra information, is this boss is kind of just a DPS dummy until the very end, and even then it still kind of is, but you ignore all of the mechanics and you just fully focus on DPS on him, minus a few mechanics that we're going to cover it in a second. But the sooner you can get him into the last phase, the better for you. You don't have to kill the pillars, you don't have to worry about the summons. The only thing you need to worry about is going to be his Volley of Souls, his ghost waves that he summons, which is like Tarrakets, and also when he jumps on you to use like the scythe, which can stun you as well. We'll talk about those soon, but I'm going to cover the other mechanics as well, so you at least know what's going on in the fight. But for those of you that just wanted to hear that, just DPS the hell out of him, deal with those 3 mechanics, and then you move on to phase 4, which will be timestamped in this video. Okay, let's start talking about how his mechanics actually work. So to go through some of the abilities that aren't that big of a deal, he has his regular auto attack, which is going to do regular necromancy damage, so you want to be protecting or using deflect from necromancy in this fight. He can remove your necromancy protection prayers, so you need to keep an eye out for that and put it back up whenever this does happen. If you get too close to him, he is just going to dive away from you, so get kind of close, but don't get in melee distance, and then you can just keep doing damage. Now the reason you want to stay slightly close to him is because of the Death Skulls ability. If you use Death Skulls and then too far away, it just won't do any damage, as it won't have any targets to go to. But also using Death Skulls and being slightly close to him will mean that your Death Skulls will clear off any summons that he does as well. Speaking of Conjures, he does the Skeleton Warrior and the Putrid Zombie, and you pretty much just ignore these. They're just going to come on and hit you in the face, but they don't do that much damage. And if you are using Death Skulls, which you're going to be wanting to do, as I'll explain my rotation to you guys, you're going to be using Death Skulls quite often. This will clear them off anyway, but otherwise you'll be fine. Once you get him down to 700,000 HP, he's going to summon some Soul Obelisks. Now, Soul Obelisks are going to basically charge up his Soul Sap ability, the same thing for us that lets us use Volley of Souls. Once he reaches the max stacks of souls, he is going to throw the Volley of Souls at you. This is one of the abilities you do have to pay attention to, but it's not that big of a deal, because if you use Devotion, it is completely like negated. As long as you use Devotion when he gets to full souls, you'll be absolutely fine, and it's very easy to keep track of. The obelisks, on the other hand, are just going to charge a little quicker. You don't have to kill the obelisks because, again, by the time it charges it up, you'll hopefully be nearly through to the next phase, and you just use Devotion anyway, and it does nothing. So it doesn't damage you or anything like that. It just charges his souls. Just ignore them. Every now and again, he'll also use regular soul sap on you, give him another soul, so again, just keep a track of his souls. And like I say, when he does use the Volley of Souls ability, he will say that this is the true power or something like that, and you'll also see that he's got full stack of souls anyway, and then he will throw them all at you. Just have Devotion ready for this, use Limitless if you need to, and you'll be absolutely a-okay. Next, there is a Spirit Wave just like Tarraket. You just want to use Escape to go back through this when he summons it. As long as you use Escape, pretty much as soon as you see it spawn, you'll be absolutely fine. Just go back, he'll run towards you, your character will run back towards him, and then you just carry on doing what you're doing. He will usually do 2 of these, one not so long after the other one. Just use Escape again if you have double Escape. Otherwise, you can use Dive to go back through it as well, just to make sure that you don't end up tanking this to the face, as it could do a little bit of damage. Finally, he has the Spectral Scythe, where he will dive to you and he will stun you and he will use the Spectral Scythe ability. I have noticed though, if you keep moving around, this doesn't really happen, and if he does try to dive to you when you're moving around, then he doesn't stun you and he doesn't scythe you. So once he's done the Volley of Souls, just get moving around a little bit and you'll be absolutely fine. A lot of the time you're going to skip through this anyway and not see it, but if you do get hit by it, just hit freedom and then move away from him, put your prayer back up because it does get dropped, and you'll be absolutely fine again. All these mechanics will just keep repeating through until you hit 200,000 life points, and then you'll be on to the last phase. Before we do move on to talking about the last phase though, I will mention that this fight is a pretty easy fight once you get used to it, but it is hectic to begin with and you are going to be taking a lot of damage. It is okay to eat food here if you need to, and if you have the enhanced Excalibur, it is going to be a massive help to getting through this fight. I use it pretty much straight away at the beginning of the fight and just take advantage of it. But you're going to be eating food, using brews, using blue blubbers, anything that's not going to take away from your adrenaline, because you don't want to be losing that. All you're going to be doing though is focusing on DPSing him down from the start of the fight all the way until he phases, and this is why you want to ignore as many mechanics as you can, except for the ones that you really can't ignore, like the Volley of Souls and the stun and the spirit waves. Okay, so once you reach 200,000 life points, he is going to phase into the final phase, which will take him up to the platform that you can't actually walk up to, but you can still attack him, and this is where you want to head over. There's going to be 2 pillars still in the room. Don't even worry about them. They're invulnerable. You can't kill them. Just ignore them and get over to doing DPS onto Rasial. I would advise, if you do have the undead sigil, that you save it for this bit if it does come off cooldown before you get back here in the first place, because this is going to help you out a lot in this phase. Now, during this phase, he's going to hit you with auto attacks, but he's also going to do necrotic explosions that will just go around the ground around your player. These can kill you very quickly and can be very stressful when you aren't used to them and how to pay attention to them. Now, the best way that I've found to deal with these is to not run around like an absolute psychopath from side to side of the room like I used to do, but to get like a chunk of area, which I'll put a screenshot on for you guys with like an image to show you guys, in front of the boss. Continue doing damage, but just run in a little bit of a circle or side to side in this area, moving backwards and forwards closer to him to dodge them as they spawn. You'll see little puffs of like dark energy, I suppose, appear where your character is or where the eruptions are going to be. Just move away from those and you'll be okay. This seems to be the best way that I've found to deal with them, and I've died a lot less since doing this method. In this time again, using your Conjure Skeleton Warrior and using all your high hitting abilities is going to be the way to get the boss down. You need to be dealing damage to him here. So if you have that Undead Slayer sigil, or Undead Slayer ability should I say, you are going to be dealing a lot more damage here, so it's definitely worth saving. Obviously, once he gets below 30k health, you can apply the Death Mark ability, which will insta-kill him for the next ability you use, which is very, very helpful. So use this if you are in the position to do so. Once you've done this, he's dead, you can grab your loot, and that is the end of the kill. Sounds simple, right? Well, once you've had a bit of practice, it probably will feel pretty simple. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave a full kill in the background for you to watch, so you can get an example of the actual kill. But I'm also going to just mention the first bit of the fight where I go through my abilities in a specific order each and every time to get as much damage as possible. Again, this may not be the most optimal way to do it, but it's the way that works for me. I have yet to look into what everybody else is doing. I just wanted to preserve the experience myself, and this is what I found that works. Once we have a much better understanding of the boss and how to make it way more efficient, I will make an updated guide for the actual rotation and stuff if you guys would like that. But this overall is just to get you in there, get the kills, get out with the loot. So at the start of the fight, I will use all my potions and my grimoire and whatnot, and then I will enter the instance. I immediately then conjure all 3 of the different conjures. So you've got your skeleton, your ghost, and your zombie. Conjuring these before you target the necromancer means that they're free to do so. Then surge forward and get ready for the boss to spawn. As soon as you see the spawn timer, you can use target cycle and then apply smoke cloud and vulnerability bomb. If you don't use target cycle, just use smoke cloud and vulnerability bomb as soon as you can target the guy, and you're good to go. From here, my rotation is immediately using Death Skulls, then Touch of Death, and then I build up to 100% adrenaline so that I can use Living Death. Once I've proc Living Death, I use my Adrenaline Renewal and then fire off as much damage as I can while using my Undead Slayer Sigil here. This means you can pretty much use Death Skulls again straight away because it resets the cooldown of that and your Touch of Death ability cooldown as well. Fire off Finger of Death as often as you can. Make sure to use your weapon special attack as well, as it is incredibly good. And just every chance you get, use your Death Skulls ability, as they're going to clear off the summons for you as well. One other thing that I kind of can't stress enough is the Skeleton Warrior, like secondary ability, is insanely good. The Command Skeleton Warrior does a lot of damage, and I will make sure to use this every cooldown as long as I remember. Sometimes I forget, but you definitely want to use this. It costs 0 adrenaline and it is just totally insanely worth it. So make sure you fire that off as well whenever you get a chance. This is the main rotation of the fight and is going to get you a good chunk into it. From there, it's pretty much just improv on using Touch of Death, Finger of Death, Volley of Souls whenever you've got it, and again, using Death Skulls whenever you've got that as well. I don't bother resummoning my zombie because it's pretty useless here at the moment, as you can't deal poison damage, and then in the last phase, he just gets stuck and doesn't do anything anyway. But keep your skeleton up, keep your ghost up if you need the healing, and then of course get him into the final phase. Again, I save my Undead Sigil for the final phase. As soon as I get in there, I will move into the location that I showed you guys earlier, and I will use my Undead Sigil and either use Death Skulls or any other abilities that I've got to bring his health down as fast as possible, while focusing my best on not dying to the explosions. Anyway, hopefully you found this video useful. I hope you did. Hopefully it gets you through some kills and hopefully you get lots of drops as well. If you do get a drop, or if you just like the video anyway, please do leave a like in the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Lots of necromancy content coming now that I've reached the boss and all that sort of stuff. While I AFK to 120 now, I'll be making tons of videos, so stick around for that, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.